Hello and welcome to the Samplecast. This is show 9. I want to give a shout out at the beginning of the show to some fantastic blogs and sites which have featured the Samplecast over the last couple of weeks or so. Thank you so much for your support, that really helps me. So specifically Best Service, Time and Space, Bedroom Producers Blog, Sample Library Review and Audio Spotlight. You're all doing great work, and if you haven't already, please check out those sites. I'll put them in the description below. Please don't forget to check out the Samplecast podcast each week. There's extended tracks there, and this week there's a composer interview as well. You can get it on iTunes and all the usual podcasting platforms. So without further ado, let's get into the show. Starting off with this week's roundup, there seems to have been a glut of solo string libraries out recently. A couple of weeks ago we had some from Hollywood Strings. Chris Hine has got his violin out. There's been Embertone strings recently as well. And here's another one, it's Nocturne Cello from Orchestral Tools. Runs in the full version of Contact 5 and is the next step in their soloist series. They did release the violin a little while back and the cello should be out by the time you see this show. The cello has been recorded in the Teledex solo booth, so it's an intimate solo sound, but it does blend well with the other Orchestral Tools Berlin series. There are 14 different legato transitions available with the instrument, and they're all available in normal and détaché mode as well. The transitions are chosen automatically by the scripting, so I haven't had a chance to have a play with this yet, but I really can't wait. Maybe I'll feature it in a future show. A quick shout out for Function Loops. They're really banging out the packs at the moment. There's 2 more this week. They're based on kind of festival sounds. They're WAV packs, and the first one is MEGAFESTIVAL Trap. That's 400 megabytes of trap and R&B sounds. And the second one, Festival House, which is 1.5 gigs of kind of EDM house sounds. I had a listen to the demos of these packs and they sound pretty good. They're really the sounds of the summer, the sorts of things to throw into your tunes to really get that uplifting summer vibe. They're pretty authentic and mix ready as far as I can tell, and the best thing about them is that both packs are under $20, so have a look at those at the Function Loops website. I covered Eris by Composers Tools in the very first Samplecast show, and I'm really pleased that they've got another library out now. It's called Cinematic Effects, and it's a WAV pack which is broken down into 7 different categories of sounds. You've got 1,000 files in total, really high quality, they're 24-bit and at 96 kilohertz, and it's a 2.5 gigabyte library. So here there's cinematic sounds including booms, smashes, super fast sounds including switches and clicks, and fast transitions for kind of screen wipes, that sort of thing. There's reversers as well, machine noises, all sorts of different things. If you haven't got enough cinematic effects in your arsenal already, definitely check out this library, the link is below in the description. Next up are kind of 2 libraries in one. I was going to include them as the big review, but hopefully Audio Imperia will be happy with me just including them in the roundup, because I've got yet another Audio Imperia product for the big review. So these are Klavier Gravitas piano and Klavier Red Planet piano. They both run in the full version of Contact 5. And a little bit difficult to explain what they are, so it's probably best to head over to the Audio Imperia website. But basically you've got a deep sample piano with 6 microphone positions with each of these instruments, and one of the instruments, the Gravitas piano, also allows you to mix in organic hybrid sounds that have been culled from the original piano samples, and the other library, the Red Planet piano, allows you to mix in guitar tones. And there's various different presets with these. So let's look at the Gravitas piano. It's 12 gigabytes. As I say, you've got a piano mixed with organic hybrid overtones, and there's 35 synthetic presets there for you to play with. You can mix between them with the mod wheel. There's a huge knob on the interface as well. And these sounds are great. They're absolutely mix ready, perfect for trailers or underscoring, that kind of thing. The Red Planet piano, on the other hand, that's 10 gigabytes. The piano samples are exactly the same. The concept behind this is that it's been inspired by the score from The Martian. So the piano's been mixed with hybrid and affected guitar overtones, and you've got 12 presets there. Doesn't sound like many, but there's a lot of options with effects and convolutions on the interface to enable you to make your own tones as well. The two libraries can be bought as a bundle or individually, so I definitely have a look at those at the Audio Imperia website. Check out the demos on there as well and see what you think. It's a very short FreeVST section this week, as there's just one thing I need to say. It's Computer Music Magazine Freeware Edition 2016. This is a fantastic collection of plugins with a cover-mounted DVD. You've got loads of different sounds on there. You've got effects plugins, reverberation, saturation, synth plugins, all sorts of different things. These aren't just freebies that have been culled from the internet. They're specifically designed in most cases for computer music. So head out to your local newsagent. You'll pay only £6.25 for this particular issue, which is an insanely cheap amount for the amount of freebies that you've got on board. As I mentioned before, this week's big review is also an Audio Imperia product, but it's been developed by Exotic States. And it's a cigar box guitar called Nailstrom. It's a tiny little instrument, so it's not very expensive. At the moment you can get it for $25. It will shortly increase to $35. Runs in the full version of Contact 5 and it's 1.6 gigabytes when fully installed. As I say, I didn't really expect this to be my big review this week. I thought it was going to be the pianos, but when I started to play with Nailstrom, I was really blown away by the sound, and it was a very unusual take on a sample library sound that a lot of us have probably heard before, a kind of plucked guitar, but it's been affected in some really interesting ways. So here's my review. You've got 4 articulations here. There are plucked, picked, bowed and tremolo, and the long articulations are controlled by the mod wheel. You've also got adjustable fret noises, resonance, shape, release shapes and EQ as well. And there's also an effects rack on the right hand side of the interface, which includes over 40 morph presets, 14 ambiances, basically convolution reverbs, and a delay section as well. So there's 2 patches with Nailstrom. One is the picked and long articulations, which are very playable. It'll give you that kind of Breaking Bad Dave Porter vibe when you play them. The fret noises that are thrown in by the engine are really authentic as well. So it's a supremely playable instrument. The other patch that you've got has 12 different effects there. And these are all really nice, whether they're combined with the picking sounds or whether you just use them as ambiances on their own. You've got some really stellar effects there. They're mix ready, you can put them straight into your compositions and you really won't need to give them any external processing at all. So Nailstrom has a lovely sound. As I say, it reminded me of a lot of modern TV scoring. It's really inspiring, and I especially love the morphing controls. At $25 to $35, it's a steal. The only thing that I could think to actually improve about this library, apart from having more of the same, more presets, would be to make an adjustment to the delay module. You can adjust the delay time, but it would be really handy to have a tempo syncing option in there as well. But otherwise, I would highly recommend Nailstrom from Exotic States. You can pick it up from the Audio Imperia website. This week there's a podcast exclusive. We've interviewed former bass guitar player and heavy metal drummer Frank Schlimbach, who has now turned his hand to composing. He's quite a new composer, just started up really within the last year or so, but he's producing some fantastic tracks which I came across on Facebook and YouTube. On the podcast, he talks about his track Pearl of Beauty and breaks it down, showing you how he put it together. So check out the podcast on iTunes and all the normal podcasting platforms. This is Bargain VST, the section of the show where you can pick up lots of good bargains, cheap libraries and discounts as well. Head over to the Twitter handle at BargainVST for more information. First up this week, it's Poor Ambient Sounds from Mode Audio. This is a 500 megabyte library and it's just £15. Here you've got 25 different looping ambiances and they've been split into 6 different layers, 6 different stems each. And they're suitable for chill out, ambient, cinematic and down-tempo kind of trip-hop styles. What I liked about this library is there's also tail samples included, so that you can bolt these onto the end of the loops and have a real natural ending to them. Next up, a little oddity, it's Newmello 2 from Wavesfactory. We covered Wavesfactory ukulele in a previous episode of the Samplecast, and now they've got another unusual instrument here. It's been inspired by the famous Mellotron M4000 tape machine, which many credit as being the first kind of sampler, I guess. It recreates the sound of the 60s and 70s. Lots of acts like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones use this kind of effect. There's 25 patches in there and it authentically recreates the sound, but also Wavesfactory have gone one step further and expanded the functions by including an effects module and round robins as well for the presets. There's a good deal to be had from Handheld Sounds if you're quick. At the moment there's 50% off Mad Drums Volume 1 for Contact. You can use the code MAD50OFF at checkout, so that makes it just under $40. The good thing about this particular deal is that they'll be releasing a new version of Mad Drums pretty shortly, I've heard within the next month or so. So that means that there'll be a special upgrade pricing for anyone who already owns the library. So at the moment you've got the chance to get the original library for half price, and you'll get a much cheaper deal when the new package comes out. The drums here have been recorded with extended dynamics. They run in Contact, the full version, and there's a dedicated hi-hat engine, microphone mixer with realistic bleed, which is important for drum samples, and there's a groove engine in there as well with many different grooves, so you don't have to manually program those drums if you don't want to. Check it out at Handheld Sounds. A nice little synth from Plugin Boutique next, called The Riser. There's 50% off, it's about £30 now, and you get a free Flux Transitions expansion pack with this particular deal. It's a plugin that runs in audio units VST and AAX for both Mac and PC, and it's a synth that's been designed especially for dance music and sound designed deep risers. You've got 300 presets in there, which you may never need to actually adjust, there's so many, but you can do quite easily with the interface and manipulate them with the LFOs, oscillators and 23 different filter types. It's perfect for anyone that does dance music, EDM or cinematic sounds and needs a kind of grumbling riser. Thanks so much for checking out this week's edition of the Samplecast. We'll be back next week with episode 10, and then I think we're going to take a little break. I always plan to do 10 shows and then have a couple of weeks off so that I can gather my thoughts and get to some other projects. So after next week's show, we'll see you in a few weeks' time. In the meantime, please do check out the podcast. Go back to the other shows. There's lots of information in there. They're not really so time specific apart from the discount sections. You can have a look at the links at the end of this show or have a look at the playlist as well on YouTube. Don't forget the Samplecast website. It's thesamplecast.com, and I will see you next week. Bye bye now.